Mac Miller was more than just a rapper. He was a creator, a storyteller, and someone whose music touched millions. But on the morning of September 7th, 2018, the world lost him in the most devastating way, and behind the tragic overdose was a trail of deception, illegal pills, and a federal takedown. This is Strawberry Inc., and today we're diving into the full case behind the death of Mac Miller. It was a regular morning in Studio City, California, until Mac Miller's personal assistant walked into his home and discovered something no one should ever have to see. Mac was dead. The assistant quickly called 911 and gave authorities permission to enter the property. The scene was grim, but what unfolded would unravel a dark world of drug trafficking and fake pills. The kind that takes lives silently, immediately, and far too often. Mac's body was transported to the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. The cause of death, a fentanyl overdose. It had been accidental, they said, but lethal nonetheless. He was just 26. The DEA immediately launched an investigation. Why? Because fentanyl doesn't just appear in someone's system. Someone gave it to him, someone laced it, and someone had to be held responsible. Mac Miller was laid to rest in his hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was honored with a Jewish funeral service at the Ralph Sugar Chapel. His final resting place is the Homewood Cemetery, a quiet spot not far from where his music dreams first took root. The DEA didn't stop until they had names, and by the end of 2019, 3 arrests were made in separate strategic takedowns all across California and even out of state. On September 25, 2019, police raided a property in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. That's where they found 36-year-old Ryan Reavis. He was arrested by the Havasu Police Department and booked into the Mohave County Jail. The charges, 2 misdemeanors, marijuana possession and illegal prescription drugs, plus 2 felonies, fraudulent prescription and illegal weapons possession. But no prosecutor picked up those charges in Arizona. They had bigger plans for him in federal court. Reavis waived extradition in front of Magistrate Camille Bibles and was transported to the DEA's Temple Street office in LA. There, he was processed and booked into the Los Angeles MDC, officially charged federally for illegal weapons possession. Next was Stephen Walter. On August 30th, 2019, federal prosecutor Matthew Jacobs charged him with conspiracy to distribute a controlled substance. Just under a month later, on September 26, the DEA raided a property in Los Angeles and arrested him. Like the others, Walter was taken to the Temple Street for processing and then booked into LA's MDC to await trial. The next one we are going to discuss is the third and last suspect to mention, Cameron Pettit. Cameron was in the least amount of legal trouble, at least initially. He was arrested once the federal indictment was unsealed. The DEA raided his home in Hollywood Hills, and he too was processed at the Temple Street DEA office and booked into the LA MDC. Each defendant had their own courtroom drama. In Arizona, Reavis first appeared before Judge Derek Carlisle. His bond was set to $50,000, cash only. But with no Arizona prosecutor willing to pursue the charges, the case was dropped. He soon waived extradition and was brought back to California. At the federal courthouse in Phoenix, he faced Magistrate Camille Bibles. His public defender was Luke Mulligan, the prosecutor, U.S. Attorney Paul Stearns. After the extradition waiver, he appeared at the LA federal court before Magistrate Alka Sagar. Matthew Jacobs was already preparing the full case, and Reavis said he'd hire his own lawyer. Walter's first appearance was in front of Maria Audero, the magistrate of the LA Federal Court. She ordered that he remain in custody without bail. Matthew Jacobs again served as prosecutor. Walter also announced plans to hire his own attorney. Then, Pettit faced Magistrate Frederick Mumm, also at the LA Federal Court. He too was denied bail. He initially requested a public defender and was assigned Charles Snyder, though he would later part ways with him and hire his own private attorney, just like his two co-defendants. Behind closed doors, a grand jury was billed in the case. Prosecutor Matthew Jacobs presented the evidence to a grand jury at the LA Federal Courthouse. The charges were hefty: conspiracy to distribute fentanyl and fentanyl distribution itself. Stephen Walter had one extra charge: unlawful possession of ammunition. Once the indictment was unsealed, the federal charges were made public. All three men appeared before Magistrate Alicia Rosenberg. All three entered not guilty pleas. All three were ordered to remain in custody. Cameron Pettit had by this point parted ways with his public defender and hired private counsel. Now let's discuss the prosecution and the defense, all the members of those parties. The legal teams lined up. Prosecutor for Ryan Reavis was Solomon Kim. The prosecutor for Stephen Walter was Matthew Jacobs. The prosecutor for Cameron Pettit was Ella Herrera. Now, the defense teams. Ryan Reavis was represented by attorney Corina Ferentino, Stephen Walter by attorney William Harris, and Cameron Pettit by attorney John Robertson. On November 30th, 2021, all three defendants appeared via Zoom before federal judge Otis Wright. They changed their pleas from not guilty to guilty under fentanyl distribution charge. In exchange, all other charges would be dismissed. Judge Wright didn't wait. He sentenced Cameron Pettit on the spot, 5 years in federal prison. For the others, he said he'd consider probation as part of their sentence, but that didn't go as planned. On April 18, 2022, Reavis appeared for sentencing. Judge Wright gave him 10 years and 11 months, no probation. Then, on May 16, 2022, Stephen Walter was sentenced to 17.5 years in federal prison. Again, no probation. Where are they now? Ryan Reavis is serving his sentence at the FCI Danbury in Connecticut. Stephen Walter at the FCI Victorville, Medium 2 in California. Cameron Pettit was released from the FCI Mendota in California on October 11, 2024 after completing his sentence. Mac Miller's death was not a simple tragedy, it was a preventable one. A product of greed, fake pills, and a growing fentanyl crisis that claims lives every day. But in the end, justice was served, even if it could never bring Mac Miller back. This has been Strawberry Ink. I'm Santiago. Thank you for listening. Stay safe out there. Please share this episode to your loved ones. Please follow and like the show. Have a good rest of your day, and may Mac Miller rest in peace.